I just want to make sure it works.
Error occurred, it says.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know what. I think it's a YouTube problem. I'm trying.
Fuck.
Frustrating.
Wells just said there's 2 Brians, so he can see it.
Okay. So you guys can see us?
I'm reloading. All right, we're good. Reload the screen. It works.
I think it's a YouTube problem. I can hear myself back on the screen.
Heard it.
We're good.
There was that delay there.
Oh, I had to reload twice. Perfect. Okay,
All
that's
right,
better
good.
than it not working at all.
All right, we're in.
Yeah,
Wow, right on the dot.
perfect.
I'm sending the new link now. I had to build a post.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and kick off the agenda and stuff. So
How's that look, Brian?
You
Good.
want to wait just a couple minutes? So
Yeah,
the link
let's give
plays
everybody
out?
about 10 minutes to get together and
Yeah,
get
yeah.
settled.
So we had technical difficulties. It's all my fault. I'm in charge of that.
No,
Oh, this is gonna take forever. Hold on. Hold on. Here's one.
Don't forget DN.
Can somebody else do one on DN? I'm kind of busy right now.
Whoever's got their volume turned up, turn it down.
Yeah, I just turned it down. Sorry.
Okay,
I was
cool.
Somebody send me a link because I sent Pete the old link.
I got it. I'll send it to you.
So for those of you that are just tuning in, we had some technical difficulties. It wasn't putting our stream up, so we had to change the link.
Everybody's phone's about to go crazy.
Yeah, yep.
Crap. Here. Oh boy. Here.
Trying. Who's got DN?
Not it.
I got it.
You know, if I do it, I'm bound to screw it up.
Well, why don't you go do it anyway?
All right, what do you need me to do? I'll do it.
Copy and paste. Go check Facebook.
What's Facebook?
Oh, geez.
I'll check out the chat and talk. Let's see.
I got it.
Oh.
Copy the YouTube link, right? You're talking about the
I
Facebook.
see Kuba's in there. I see Richard's in there. Keith says he'll be right here. Oh, I see Eric's in there.
Oh, Cooper's in with us now.
Mm-hmm. Mike's in there. Mikey B. Got hands.
Oh, people are on? All right, that's great. Even though the link wasn't working?
63 people are in there so far. So
I mean, there's...
Oh. Still blowing up Facebook. Give me a second.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that subscribed to the channel got a notification.
Well,
You
hopefully
wanna-
people on that didn't.
You want to start kick it off at 9:05? Got 3 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's an hour and 3 minutes for me. But yeah, I'll do it in 3 minutes.
Eastern time.
I'm gonna go grab a cup of coffee real quick.
Okay. Sorry.
Got
Coffee.
James Power and Jake B. See Gail.
How do I? This is a YouTube chat or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
gonna look at the... Hey, Clayton. I guess Corey's in here somewhere. And Jason.
Where are you seeing this, Keith?
On the YouTube I just actually went to the YouTube stream, and I'm looking over at the chat on the side.
Why can't I see the chat? I don't get it.
Michael Broccoli's here.
Michael Broccoli.
Yo, Mikey Broccoli.
That's Mikey B.
He's chopping broccoli.
Then we got to get Tommy Olives in here.
chopping broccoli. Chopping broccoli.
Meatball. Where's our meatball at?
Are people actually watching us be idiots right now?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
Guys.
live.
Pay no attention to the man behind the mirror. This is actually what goes on all night long.
Yeah. Oh, Dave Wagner. Whoop, whoop.
Dave Wagner, Mr. Wagner.
Mr. Wagner.
I haven't heard from my buddy Dave in a few days now.
I was gonna say it was like last weekend we hung out with him.
Yeah, but I love Dave. I've known Dave for years.
Oh look, Peter Redloff's here.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, Pete. I'm busy. Hold on. I gotta finish.
There's
I'm on
Carlos.
Facebook.
AES Wave, Carlos?
Yeah.
Did I
Everybody's
blow?
here.
Did I
No,
blow up?
that's Bryn's Carlos.
Did I blow up
Oh.
Facebook enough, or should I keep on going?
Oh, Scott's there too. Look at that. We got Scott and Chad and Tom.
Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown, yes. And Mike Becker at the helm of the Wells Vehicle Electronics channel.
You see, if Mike was in charge of the YouTube thing, this wouldn't have happened.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure out how to use the YouTube thing.
Me too.
Do I need to keep on going? Did everybody get enough messages?
I think
I
so.
think we're good.
The only thing is my audio coming through too loud or too soft?
Sound perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
Keep
I'll
it right
sound
there.
good to you
On my
guys,
end.
but to YouTube it's different because I have to use a different audio input.
That's what screwed everything all up.
I can't hear because you told me to turn my volume down.
Well,
Sorry,
turn your volume down for the
I
playback.
got yelled at already. We didn't even start yet.
There's Lucas Underwood.
Hi, Lucas.
Okay, cool. I see Mike
Okay.
told me volume's good, so
Okay, I think
I
Okay,
think we're
one
good,
more.
guys. Right?
Okay, how about
Yep.
okay, one more. Okay, I'm good.
You're good? You're done?
All right,
You done, Chris?
I think
Good?
so.
Okay.
That's like the third time I did that today. My thumbs hurt. Okay.
All right, guys, welcome to the Diagnostic Discussion After Dark, or was it Fireside Chat is what Chris wants to call it?
I like that.
Part 3, The Reckoning.
The Reckoning. On October 22nd, 2018. So we've got like a ton of stuff to pack in there, and since we're 6 minutes late already, then we're going to, that means it automatically pushes it to 3 hours over, is where we're going to have to go. So we've got some stuff. We have the scholarship for vision. That the registration part was given to us by the Midwest Auto Care Association that we're going to announce. We got special guest Michael Nicholson here, and we got the raffle for a couple things going on. So we're gonna kick off. We've got another special guest, Brandon Steckler. Say hello, Brandon.
Hey, guys.
So we're gonna go right into that. So Brandon, if you want to kick us off with some information about the Vision Scholarship.
Absolutely. So just a real quick kind of catch up since our last live meeting here. I know we've posted about it throughout the social media world, but we all attended the Super Saturday event and had an amazing time. This is a one-day event in October. I think this is the second or third year they've restarted doing this again, but one-day event. So for those of you that missed it, definitely look forward, look to go next year. Next year, I'm not sure what their plans are, if it's going to be 1 or 2 days, but really, really cool event. Intimate, I would say, is a good word. And so with that, we won't go into the details of that. But both Joe's and David make everybody feel great. Amazing choices for classes. So if you missed it, definitely don't miss it next year. It's a really cool event. But to be clear, Sherry Hamilton and Jerry Holcomb graciously donated a Vision Power Pass scholarship to ASAPA. So both David's or both Joe's and David, they donated that to them. And Jerry Holcomb actually showed up to the event to the Super Saturday event. But the plan was to give that to ASAPA to do what they wanted to do with it. And they decided they wanted to give it to a student that's currently enrolled in an automotive technology program, which I think is a great idea. They want to show the new coming technicians or professionals entering the industry what a great event is and how just kind of kick it off and start it off right at a really, really good premier event like Vision. So I thought that was a great idea. We had several students that were currently enrolled. Being at ATC, we had some ATC students, but we had some other students from the area as well that attended Super Saturday because both Joes and David, both Joes, they invited for free to allow current enrolled technician and students that were currently enrolled in automotive technology programs. They invited them to attend the Super Saturday event for free, which is obviously way cool of them anyways. But so they stopped by the booth and they fill out a form, and we had a small conversation with them as a group, and we kind of got to know them a little bit. And with that, we've chosen one, and that's what we're here to do today. We want to talk a little bit more about this, but because it was really awesome for the Midwest Auto Care Association, Sherry and Jerry and everybody else involved to decide to donate this to ASAPA, and it's really awesome that ASAPA decided to give it to a student. But ultimately, we're talking about a student that's going to be attending Vision, and there's obviously some other expenses involved with, hotel accommodations and airfare and just spending money while you're there. So David and both Joes with ASAPA and the Super Saturday event asked us if we would be willing to help to raise some money for this individual so that they have little to no financial burden to attend this awesome 2019 Vision trip. So what we did is early on, just after the keynote for the Super Saturday, we made an announcement that we were going to be collecting money for this scholarship, the winner of the scholarship, so that they can attend without that financial burden. And we asked anybody that was in a position to donate to stop by the booth. We had a donation collection box to help with this individual that's going to win. And it was just an awesome experience. I really would love to just take the time and talk about everybody that stopped by and mention their name specifically and how much we appreciate them. But I'll just say that's not possible. So I'll just say we're thinking of you guys. We know who you are. We really appreciate the support in this. And it's just we thank both Joes and David and Jerry Holcomb for allowing us to be a part of this. But it was really, really awesome. We actually collected $798 on Saturday for this individual, which is pretty much takes care of a great deal of this. And beyond that, Joe, we'll call him Joe P. They both have long Italian names that I'll probably never pronounce correctly. But Joe P with ASAPA, one of the two Joes that puts on the Super Saturday event, he volunteered to pay for the airfare, and he's also wanted to invite the young man to dinner one night while they're out there in Overland Park, Kansas. So just amazing results for that, and we're really happy to be a part of it. But with that, we're going to announce the winner, and the winner is, drum roll, everybody, William Trey Gravely.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Believe Trey says he goes by Trey, and we spoke with Trey, and we actually spoke with the shop owner that that the shop that he works at, because he attends school and works at a shop at this point. He works at Pete's Garage with Pete Rudlaw, and Trey, we just all felt like Trey was our guy, and currently enrolled in a school. I can't remember what the name of the school, but yeah, congratulations, Trey. Again, thank you to the Joes and David and Jerry and Sherry and Midwest Auto Care Association, ASAPA, for allowing us to be part of this, and thanks for everybody that donated. And we're super stoked for you, Trey, and we look forward to seeing you out there.
Congratulations, awesome. Trey.
Congratulations. Those are all awesome things. All right. I guess is it up? Am I next now?
Well,
Yeah,
we
I
had
guess
the ATG raffle that we did at the Super Saturday event. We already announced the winners for that on a video that we had done on our channel, but we just wanted to mention it in this as well. But Susan Sweeney and Robert Dotterer won those two passes to get a 2-night training to ATG training that's in their area. So congratulations to them.
Absolutely. Awesome news.
That's awesome. So congratulations to all you folks. Good things are awesome. I guess it's up to me now.
Hey, you're up, Chris.
Oh, geez, I hate talking.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk all day.
almost as much as I hate talking.
Really?
I hate talking like you love talking, Keith. All right.
Yes.
So, it's been my. I want to introduce a friend of ours, Michael Nicholson. Say hi, Mike.
Hey,
Thank you.
Hey, Mike. Mike. He's been around, and he's actually a pretty interesting story. And he's a real smart tech, and we like to collaborate together. He makes his own tools sometimes. He makes his own pressure pulse sensors. You got one over there, right, Mike?
yeah, dude, it's
Yeah.
right here.
It's a little pressure pulse sensor that he makes, and it makes a really good waveform. Not at all unlike a first look sensor. And he kindly made 3 of them for us to give away. And we just thought it was really awesome. Richard Falco, who's not quite on yet, but he did a video kind of doing a comparison exactly what a pressure pulse sensor is. And I got to tell you, for the homemade sensors, Mike's sensors they're right on point. And he spends a lot of time trying to make sure they get the best signal possible. He's a really good dude, and he's actually got a really good story. And that's why he's on here today, because I think you guys should actually hear his story. It's a really good one. So at that, Mike, you're up.
Yeah, now I get to talk, huh, Chris?
Yep.
Thanks. So I don't know. It basically, I guess what Chris is talking about as far as my story goes. I'm a seasoned tech. I've been in the industry for 22 years. In 2008, I decided, basically kind of to hell with the industry, and I was frustrated, to be honest with you. I took an opportunity and I started millwrighting for 2 years until I got in an accident on Friday the 13th of 2010. Yeah, that was awesome. So no, I'm not superstitious, right? So, but anyways, what I was telling Chris in a conversation that we had is how much working in the industrial side helped the way I see my diagnostics. Basically, I quit thinking about the year, make, model. What kind of problems does this manufacturer have? What kind of problems does this manufacturer have? It's basically nuts and bolts, inputs and outputs. That's what I told them. I was like, it's because I was in an industry where I was working on. One day I'd be working on a Case tractor or Caterpillar, Laterno, Detroit Diesel, Cummins Diesel. It was as a millwright and rolling stock technician. You kind of get the whole broad thing. But there was a lot of training I was getting inside on the industrial side. So when I decided to come back in the automotive industry, I was able then to join all of them together. And that's when a lot of things really started to come into play as far as like these sensors, just being able to watch it with a scope, being able to see the things that normally we can't see as far as mechanical failures, and being able to put them on a scope and see the electric pattern of what we can't see, but what's happening. So then I started dialing in these sensors. It took a little bit. There was some trial and error. The first light bulb was not made the first time. But I got these things dialed in pretty good, and that's when I reached out to Brian and Chris and said, "Hey, could you guys use a couple of these? Can we make something happen?" It's just. So that's where we're at today. So hopefully we're going to be able to pull off a drawing and get off, give out the 3 that we have. But yeah, Chris, is that pretty much where you wanted me to touch base on?
No, yeah. When you re-entered the field, and you kind of reapplied yourself to being more of a diagnostician instead of a parts cannon firer.
Right.
The tools that you started using and you started making, how did that affect your diagnoses and your diagnostics, and how did it, did it make you more accurate and more confident in what you did?
Absolutely. I mean, because before I left the industry, the scan tool is the prime tool that I had. 50% of my diagnostics, to 75% of the diagnostics was just on the fault codes alone. And anybody that's doing diagnostics nowadays knows that it's your fault code is only 20% of the diagnostics.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of helped hone in a lot when I started, making my own tools. I can even tell you, I didn't even have a paddle for my scope. I was using the KV pickup for my snap-on and wadding up a piece of aluminum foil and setting it over a coilover plug, and I can read primary ignition on it. So I'm kind of a cheap bastard that way. I try to make do with what I got,
It works. It works.
It works. It gets the job done.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. you use what you got, learn how to use that, and then spend the money.
Right. And like I was telling you, I was before I left the industry, I was a master marksman with the part shotgun. I mean, I could kill that mouse with the biggest bullet. I tell you what. But I came into it, and I watched a lot of Scanner Danner. When I was recovering from the injury, I was plugged in. As a matter of fact, my bride tells me all the time that she misses to have Paul Danner talking in the background, on the widescreen, because I just plugged in. I'm like, look, this guy's got it. This is what I've been missing. And he really kind of honed in on a lot of the information that I was lacking, because when I started out in this industry sweeping the floor. Of course, I was building cars before I was driving, but in the industry professionally, I went into a shop and I had a broom in my hand and evolving. There was not much, in training, the mentorship. I have a few senior techs that I would look up to. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. I was in a class and I ended up teaching one of my mentors a lesson, and that was kind of when you kind of go back and you teach the guy that was teaching you 20 years prior, that's kind of a head turner right there. It's like,
that's awesome.
But I was helping a different instructor explain a process that he wasn't gathering, so I kind of helped him lay it out in a simple term, and we got through it. And so and Bob, he's a really good guy. But
did you say simple? Did you say simple perm?
No. What did I say?
I'm sorry.
So no, that's that redneck accent there. So, but no, honestly, it's I learned to love my job again. I learned to love this industry. When I came back in 2012, I hit it with both feet running. I can't get enough schooling, where before you couldn't get me to go to school because I wasn't getting paid. I was away from my kids. Taking those classes at night was just kind of taxing. But now it's like you can't give me enough information. I'm constantly plugged in. What classes are coming where? I wish I would have had the energy I have now when I was an apprentice, because I'll tell you what, I'd probably be a lot better of a technician than I am now. And not chest thumping, but I think I'm okay right now. So
I think you're a lot more than okay. Let me tell you. I've seen some of the stuff you put out there. It's some high level stuff.
Thank you.
And the fact that you can make that, I don't know if you ever seen any of this guy's pressure transducer stuff, or the stuff you can get on a snap-on scope with a pressure transducer. It is some of the sexiest pressure waveforms I've ever seen. I'm very, very jealous.
You gotta play.
No, they're sexy.
You gotta play games with snap-on scopes to get nice. I mean, you can do it, but
Mike,
that takes an effort.
Mike is a master.
Manipulate them a little bit. The first time I did, I'm like, oh, this doesn't look like the class. The instructor showed me some cool stuff. What is this? And it literally takes, and that's why I tell my guys when I'm teaching them how to scope, I'm like, go home and practice with it. It's a new toy. You don't go hunting with a new rifle and never sight it in, right? So it's you gotta know the equipment that you're using before you take it out in the field. But snap-on is a bit tricky. I will tell you that. It's I can't necessarily compare it because I'm still a greenhorn when it comes to the Pico, but thanks, Chris. He's helping me out, and Blake Cassidy, he's dialed me in a little bit on that too.
Blake's a great dude.
He is. He's a fun guy.
Well, hopefully, maybe tonight, a little bit later, you might get lucky and win a raffle. Just saying.
I'm hoping.
All
I
right.
think a lot of us are, right? 200 of us.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Besides the people that bought like a lottery ticket.
Right.
All right, I'll take 50 tickets.
All right. So so we did have a drawing to enter, three of these centers. So I think tonight is the night we're actually going to do that. And I think Brian, you got the winner. You got the tickets there, right?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Let's do this. Let's get this show on the road. Keith looks like he's freezing.
I got my wife's wine glass here. Holds about 3 ounces.
Good Lord.
There's actually 200 tickets in there.
Good girl.
No, this one has 37 entries. There's 200 tickets for the Pico raffle. But we're going to shake these up real quick. And I'm going to pick 3 lucky winners.
Look into my eyes, Brian, not the jar.
Yeah, it's Mikey B making predictions.
First winner is Juan Vargas.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Juan Vargas. Come on down.
Somebody writing these down?
Ding,
You
ding,
are
ding,
the
ding,
next
ding, ding.
contestant on The Price is Right.
And number 2.
Come on down.
Not looking.
Are you looking? Hold on. I saw you looking.
Keith DeFazio.
Jeez.
Throw it back.
And number 3. What we got here? What we got? Lance Carter. Number 3.
Lance.
Hey,
Lance.
Lance. I remember Lance.
Nice.
All right.
Awesome.
Congratulations, guys.
Hey, Keith, are you taking that pressure pulse sensor, or are we doing a drawing?
You gonna put him on the spot like that?
I'm totally
Definitely drawing it again. I'm not taking it.
I knew he was going to say that. I could have said it for you.
Yep.
I'll rip this one up for you.
That's
Little
all
do you know, he's got 18 tickets in there. So
He's going to call back after we go offline.
All right.
And just to be clear,
3,
everybody,
what we got here? We got Robert Pleasanton.
nice.
All right.
Robert.
Throw it back.
Awesome. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Robert's a great guy.
Yes, he is.
Definitely.
Robert let me ride with him early on when he first got his business kicked off. Man, that was a few years ago. He's doing great now, but I mean, he started off in his little minivan. He had these neat little cutouts in the back for all his tools. It was a lot of fun. I want to ride with you again, Rob, sometime soon.
I flew out. He's in Delaware, right, Brandon? Yeah. So I flew out I flew out really early on Friday for the Super Saturday event, and the plan was to ride with him most of the day, but my flight was 3.5 hours late, so I couldn't do it. Brian, do you want to kind of remind everybody how they entered for that?
If you bought a T-shirt from us, or if you let us know that you saw one of our posts to go to Super Saturday, or if you bought a sticker, you got an entry into that drawing. So we had 37 entries into that drawing for the tools.
It's a vinyl, Brian.
The vinyl sticker. I have one right here.
Hey,
it's a piece of vinyl.
I just thought of something I want to throw out there about Super Saturday. I wanted to say earlier on. I heard technicians, I hear it all over the place, but particularly in Pennsylvania, because it's my home state, that there's no good training around here. There's no good training. It's right in your backyard.
Yes.
So make sure you get out there next year.
And that's the thing that we found at Auto Mechanica, and then again at Super Saturday, is that a lot of attendees were flying into these events. There really wasn't enough participation for the local shops. So
we had a little convoy from Chicago to Lansing, Michigan to Ohio, all in one vehicle. We drove up there.
You guys are crazy.
It wasn't even a crew cab, and now it's a tight fit.
I'd had Brian Collada charter a plane for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We're getting an RV next year.
Oh, that would be a good time.
And I would like to just say, for those who got the pressure pulse sensor and need some help using it, find Mike on Facebook. If you guys want to get your own pressure sensor, find Mike on Facebook. He's an awesome dude. All right.
Thank
Go
you,
on.
Chris. Hey, and if I can just explain on the winners that that got these sensors. I was just talking about this before we went live, and there's one thing that I just want to point out is like when, for instance, when you plug into the intake manifold, what I do is I bungee cord this and just let it float. It's ultra sensitive, and to take the noise out of the engine vibration, if that thing's sitting there rattling on the engine, you might have, you'll be able to get through it, but to clean it up, just bungee cord it to the hood. You'll be good to go. Nice, good, clean signal. Guarantee it.
Good tip.
I think we were going to do the Brandon thing, but I think Keith is freezing. He's chomping at the bit to talk about something else.
No, I'm not freezing.
Oh,
Not freezing at all. I'm fine. Just didn't know when you guys wanted me to bring it up, but there will be another raffle that we'll be holding. And that will be for something that Eric O had donated, which was 2 Power Probe 4s.
Yep.
So,
Awesome.
yep. So those
Thank
will be
you,
the
Eric.
next raffle that we'll do.
Big shout out to
Right.
Eric O for those.
Well, let's not lie. He's donating one because I'm getting the other one.
Yeah, we only have one. Never mind.
Yeah. Sorry,
mean-
take that back. We only got one.
We're just donating empty cases. Empty cases for Power Probe 4, yes.
We have real quick after that. I don't think I see it on the agenda, but we also have another one that's going to be
Yeah.
coming up as well, which is a U-scope master kit. And so just real quick to touch on the Pico scope set that was put in motion by Jim Morton. He planned on buying this thing outright for us and donating it to us and to do what we wanted to with it. I think he assumed that we do basically what we're doing. But when he contacted George and Carlos at AES Wave, ultimately they decided they weren't going to let Jim pay for it. They wanted to donate it themselves. So a big thanks to Jim and George and Carlos for that. It's really awesome. But Jim not being allowed, having his wrists slapped and telling him he couldn't be allowed to pay for the Pico scope kit, he decided to order a U-scope master kit for himself and then donated it to us. So just that's going to be coming as well. So look for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, Jim's an
Thank
awesome
you, Mr.
dude like
Martin.
that.
What a sweet old man. I can say that. I love that. He's like an uncle to me. You guys know this story.
Oh yeah. I think
And you're like his grandkid that can't ride the go-karts because you don't make rides.
gotta be this tall to ride this ride.
I've been hearing that my whole life.
You and me both.
That's right.
Well,
You
that
can
dang
ride double.
Facebook post going around. It looks like I'm the same damn height as you guys. I'm
Tan-
pissed
Tanner
off
was-
about that.
Well, that's
Tanner
good.
was wearing lifts.
And you
Tanner
were-
was wearing lifts.
Well, you got that hat on, so that makes you look a little taller.
I'm
Yeah.
5'7" with hair gel. And Bryn, you were standing 10 feet behind us. That's why.
Exactly.
It's force per second. And Tanner was jumping. You saw the picture. He was jumping when that was going
I
on.
was.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's the picture I was leaning in from the back. Like I want to see Howard's photo of that because I was right between your guys' shoulders, only like up here. So
I thought it was funny because the way Tanner was standing with his legs close together and his shoulders slumped and his backpack on, and he was looking at laughing. It looked like somebody stole his lollipop.
He looked like he was lost.
You know, on that Super Saturday closing video, he was actually standing. He had his heels on top of my feet, so he could look a little bit taller. You don't believe me? Go back and look. You'll see.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
All right,
Nice.
awesome. So again, thanks Eric for hooking us up with that. That's awesome.
Eric,
Yeah.
thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks, Eric.
thank you very much. So I think Tommy's got the mic next.
Hey, Paul.
I want to introduce my favorite munchkin, Mr. Brandon Steckler.
Hello, everybody.
Don't ask him for Chinese food.
The Lollipop Guild.
My favorite little helper,
Thank you, Tommy.
Santa Claus. So we're interested in listening to your case study there, bud. What you got for us today?
You know, guys, I had something really cool that kicked my butt the other day, and bear with me here. I'm still working with a Zoom meeting for the first time, so
Use your top people words.
Huh?
You should
You
talk.
should talk people more.
Your big boy work.
I gotta scream up like that. So I thought you guys were my friends. Anyhow, I had this car the other day. Let me pull this up here. You guys see this okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so
Live.
I had this car, and this nice lady brought this 98 Buick Park Avenue. Relatively low mileage. It wasn't really greatly taken care of, but it was hers, and she wanted to keep it on the road. So I get this car where she said it's making some noise under the hood, and it doesn't run too good. It's not running strong like it used to. So I got in the car and I took it for a ride down the road, and the thing had no power at all, and it was pinging. It was really loud. I'm going to show you guys a video here in a couple minutes of what I was experiencing on the road. So in my mind, like I want you guys to play along with me here. Let's think about this. I just want to draw it out for the people that might be tuning in that maybe their strong suit isn't drivability, or they want to learn more about it, or maybe even get some argument, some discussion amongst people listening in. So my approach to this was this. I stepped back and I said, what can cause this pinging sound? And in my mind, I'm thinking a lean condition, right? Or maybe an engine that's running too hot. We're getting an overheating condition where the temperatures inside the combustion chamber are so high, maybe this fuel is flashing over before it's supposed to. Or with that, maybe carbon on top of the piston, something of that nature. So I'm already in the driver's seat, and I'm always reaching for that low-hanging fruit. Watch your comments. So I'm reaching for that low-hanging fruit, something that's real easy to grab, and I can analyze on the fly. So I got right here, I'm just using a snap-on Modus, and I just got 4 pins on the screen. So I go for a ride, and I put the pedal to the metal, so to speak. I take the thing close to 5,000 RPMs, wide open throttle. Now, what do you guys see here? I'm looking at O2 sensors. What do you see right where my cursor's laying?
You are rich.
Right. Meaning what? We're not lean, right? We got plenty of fuel.
I will say you are at a lower concentration of oxygen. Maybe not rich, but
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks for derailing the whole thing, Keith.
Hey, Keith, thanks for interrupting, buddy. I appreciate it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, just in good fun.
I just want to say the better looking Keith wouldn't do that to you.
that's why I'm not the better looking Keith.
Oh,
That's why I'm not the better looking Keith.
I caught that, Tommy. I love you. You guys are all beautiful. So in my mind here, okay, so we're not rich. Now this was just one full throttle pull. This took 10 seconds to do. Excuse me, we're not lean. We're not running out of fuel in my mind. But we're pinging. So then I think, okay, what else can I do while I'm on the road here before I get back to the shop? I'm already in the driver's seat. I already got my scan tool interface to the DLC. Let's grab some more low-hanging fruit. So I wanted to see if what I'm hearing with my ears, the PCM's hearing. Okay, so what are we going to do? What's the PCM? How's it going to hear this ping?
Knock sensor.
Knock sensor. Knock sensor. So a PCM's response to high activity in a knock sensor is going to be what?
Reduce
Start
timing.
ignition timing.
Right. It's going to pull ignition timing to try and prevent this pre-ignition possibly that's causing this ping I hear. So here you see me take the vehicle up under acceleration. And even here, I'm not under full throttle or anything like that, but you're seeing 2,600 RPMs, and it's pulling the spark advances at -5, but the knock retard, it's almost 20 degrees. So in totality, we're looking at 25 degrees retard on spark. So the PCM's trying to get rid of this knock. It's recognizing it. So I know strategically the PCM's doing what it's supposed to do. It's trying. Again, I'm on the road. I'm only looking at scan data. So I thought to myself, okay, so the PCM is seeing this knock, it's hearing it, and it's trying to compensate. And then I thought to myself, well, if the cylinders are too hot, maybe we don't have EGR, right? If we're not getting EGR, what's EGR for? It's there to reduce NOx. The oxides and nitrogen are in abundance above 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
So if we introduce exhaust gas to the combustion chamber, we make it smaller virtually, we produce less heat. So I can just watch EGR activity. So that's what I did in this next capture here. Can you guys see my captures? Am I just like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
talking?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just making sure. This is, is this thing on? That type thing. I don't know what I'm doing yet.
You're on.
So here I'm cruising along, and EGR we know comes into play. We don't want it under wide open throttle because we want to produce that power. It's going to wash the cylinder out. So we're going to see it about mid-range. That's when we usually see it. So you hear about 60% load. My EGR position sensor is following the load here. You can see it's following. and of course my PCM's responding with spark retard, it's trying. It doesn't mean it's getting there. It means the PCM's commanding an EGR valve and it moved. But we still could have clogged ports, right? So I pulled over to the side of the road. Again, I'm only in the road 2-3 minutes now. I pulled over to the side of the road and I put the car in park safely to the side of the road. And I, through bidirectional control with a scan tool, command the EGR valve open. Now, if my EGR ports were free and clear, what should I anticipate happening when my EGR valves opened at idle?
It's going to run like
Idle,
ash.
Should stumble.
Right, it
Stumble
should.
or die.
Because the EGR valve is going to open up and it's going to wash the cylinders out. We're not going to get that oxygen in there. The car is going to run like garbage. So I did that, and it did run like garbage. So what does that indicate in regards to EGR's restriction?
They don't have any.
Unlikely I have any.
At least not enough to cause a problem.
Right. And I would think I figured if I had a problem with EGR and it didn't respond as it just did for me, I opened the EGR valve and there was no response, no feedback from the engine that it was falling on its face. That would then be a G test, a generalized test I would use to proceed forward down an EGR restriction, but that wasn't the case. So now it's time to get the car inside the bay. I've got as much low-hanging fruit as I can grab right from the driver's seat.
Now, was this a just a test drive down the road, like a 5-minute test drive? You kind of narrowed some stuff down.
This was, Chris, I like to interrogate the customers. So I sit down and I listen, and I hear what the advisor is saying to the customer if I happen to be there. And if all the right questions are being asked, I just sit back and I listen and I wait for the repair order. But if not, I like to jump in there and introduce myself. And I use the word interrogation because it is. Some people take offense to that word, but I'm not disrespectful. I don't grill them. I don't pressure them. But there's a lot of information that these customers have that they don't always divulge to us, and it's up to us to extract it from them.
Exactly.
When a customer asks for a tune-up, I don't do a tune-up. I say, why do you want a tune-up? And then they say, oh, it's running funny. Or, the alignment. I want an alignment. You could do a perfect alignment, but when you hand Mr. keys again and the car's going down a road like this, he's going to want his money back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's up to us as technicians to ask. It's our responsibility.
Yeah, if the customer is available, definitely talk to them.
Right. So I heard what I had to hear, and I went for the road test. And Chris, I wasn't gone 5 minutes. I wasn't going 5 minutes, and I save this data. I save it. I throw my cursors up where I want them, just as you see here. And there's a little button on the side of this screen here, the S button, that I have it programmed. That's my save button for save screen. Or you can come up here to this save button here. You can either save the whole movie, or you can go back and manipulate the cursors, or upload it to Snap-on's ShopStream Connect, which Mike Nicholson's going to do for us in the near future here. He's got a case study coming out soon. But I save this capture, so I can go back and analyze later, or save it for the customer. It justifies everything I do. All my steps are justified by the previous test. So in my mind, I ruled out EGR as a problem. The O2 sensors reflected that I had plenty of fuel, so I ruled out lean condition as a problem. Could we be overheating? Sure, but I assure you, I opened a hood. It wasn't hot, not any more than operating temperature in my mind, and the coolant temperature sensor PID didn't reflect that either. So it's time to start digging now. Now it's time to start getting out the tools and doing some searching. So I want to show you guys a movie, and I apologize. I really don't know how the volume is going to come out on YouTube's end or on you guys' end, but bear with me here. I'm gonna flip over here to the next screen. I'm gonna play a movie. It's probably going to be about a minute long. So guys, keep your eyes on the scope, and I want you to keep your ears open too, and I want you to hear what I hear. Okay. So I'm under the hood with my phone videotaping this. As you can see right here, I have a capacitive pickup called an ECOP made by Automotive Test Solutions. It's grabbing the ignition waveform capacitively here from underneath the engine compartment, and I'm interfaced to my scope over here to the left. So just listen closely and watch.
Throughout this lean condition on one bank, I have my partner Chuck power brake the vehicle. We're going to watch ignition over time here. Yellow is my lead bank, red is my suspect bank. Go ahead and power brake it, Chuck. Hard. Get on it hard.
Jesus.
There we go. Thank you.
Something wrong.
And
Tommy, that wasn't popcorn, dude.
Got a little lean.
He got excited.
I thought you were making cookies.
Got a little lean action.
Please feel free to comment on the pink gloves.
Yeah, please. I want to hear some feedback from people watching. I'd love to see what I want to see if you're picking up on anything here.
We got Paul Danner in the house.
All right, Paul, my buddy Paul. I can't wait to hang out with Paul. Maybe one day he'll have me down, let me ride with him. I think we have some fun.
He must be bored.
What's up, Paul?
Paul, we were talking good stuff about you earlier, brother. Love you, buddy. I hope your mother's doing well.
Not true.
So I'm going to move on here. This is a still capture from that scope, from that movie you saw. And you could see here, what I did on yellow is all of bank 2, GM. Bank 2 in the front, right, guys? Radiator side? Bank 2? Somebody, I can't remember.
Yep.
The whole
246 cross front.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, all of bank 2. I used my yellow trace here one at a time, and I did this capture over and over and over again to do all 6 cylinders. And I don't know why. I still don't know why, but all of the rear bank reflected heavy lean like this. And the significance of this pattern here is I don't have enough time to get into analyzing ignition waveforms, but this shows an increase in resistance in terms of the cylinder. And as we power brake it, we run out of fuel. There's more of a KV demand, and that's why it slopes up like this. So we can get into that chat another time, but basically what I'm telling you is this is a generalized test I use to gain some more low-hanging fruit. And I do want to throw this out there. Not every car I approach the same way. I look at what I'm dealing with, what kind of car it is, what's available to me, what scan data is available to me. You know, a lot of the stuff you guys know that the data is readily available, and some of it, it's just not so easy to snag. So I always factor in what I'm working on. But this clearly here indicates I have a fueling issue on it. And all these red traces, every one of them I did, all the back bank did the same thing. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, the whole back bank appears to be underfueled, although my fuel trim didn't show me that, which I thought was strange. But also keep in mind the front oxygen sensor, this is a single bank injection system. What I mean is all the injectors are fired sequentially, but there's only one feedback. Primary oxygen sensor feedback is from one sensor for all 6 cylinders. So maybe there's some bias there. Maybe that's why we're not seeing what I would anticipate seeing with a lean condition. But these are all thoughts going through my head here. So I'm kind of like, oh, what's going on? Now, I didn't bother getting to capture this, but what I did next was I thought to myself, we either have we got a control issue, which I thought was weird for one bank, or we have an issue with circuitry, the injectors themselves being, or the injectors being restricted, the whole back bank being restricted. So I did a fuel injector balance test. And what that let me do was I charged the fuel rail with the key, and through bidirectional control, I pulsed every injector the same amount of times. Now, it all happens really fast, but let's just say it pulsed each injector 10 times for the same pulse width. We should anticipate my pressure dropping for each injector the same if they were all the same. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah.
So in my mind, if one injector was restricted or one bank of injectors was restricted, maybe the front bank, the good bank, would drop 10 psi during that test. Each injector, 10 psi. And then the back bank might drop 6. I'm just making up numbers just to get the idea out there, but that's what I looked to happen. And the fact of the matter is it didn't happen like that at all. Every injector, both the front, all 3 in the front and all 3 in the back, all dropped the same amount of fuel pressure. So in my mind, we don't have a restriction. Now, I've never encountered this, but somebody mentioned through Facebook, where we all like to talk about these things, which I urge those of you that aren't doing it yet, please reach out, because us knuckleheads here, well, those knuckleheads and me, we all met and we talk. We network all the time on Facebook, so there's lots of good information out there. But
Network.
So anyhow, somebody mentioned on Facebook as like a useful tip, like, listen, make sure you get a fuel sample, because they've already seen where water has made its way into the back bank side of the fuel rail, but not the front, and it displaces the fuel, and each cylinder's underfueled. So did I remove the rail? No, but I did take a sample while I was interfaced doing my doing my injector balance test, and you can't see too well here, but this been sitting for 15 to 20 minutes, and I'm telling you, it's crystal clear. There's not a piece of dirt. There's no separation. There's no oil or chemical. The fuel is good. Take my word for it. And it didn't take any extra time. You know, I just squirted it into a bottle and set it aside. But so I don't have contamination. I don't have restricted fuel injectors. In my mind, the only thing left to check is control. You know, the PCM driving the injector. So what better way to do this than to gather a current ramp, right? Because current's the work. We can give the command all we want. Jim Morton always says, you know, he used to tell his students to do stuff all the time. Whether they did it or not, it's a different story, right? So, excuse me. If I'm looking at the work happening through the eyes of the lab scope and the amp probe, and I see all the injectors doing the same thing, that would infer that they're all working the same electrically. So there they are. Now this car was at idle here, and all the injectors appear to be the same. But that's where I made my mistake. I said, you know what? This looks good for now. They're all about the same. We're just about over 1.2 amps here. But well, it's 1.2 on that circuit. I don't know what else is floating on there. I'm not sure, but they're all about the same, relatively speaking. So the car's idle and fine. There's no noise here. I figured I might as well just power break it and get this like Chuck did, like you saw in the video, and get it to act up and see if the fault will reflect in this injector trace. So check this out. Oh, so here I'm interfaced here at this fuse with my amp probe. Down here I have some leads pierce probed at the ignition control module. Yes, I pierce wires.
Me too.
Yes,
Me
I
too.
am in the rust belt, and yeah, corrosion's a factor. You got to understand what these probes are designed to do is I'll say overcome the insulation so you can contact the conductor. We're not jamming pins in there, making big holes, but cover it up with oh good lord, what am I looking
polish.
for here? Cover the holes up.
Clear nail polish, liquid electrical tape.
Yeah, stay away from the RTV. That can corrode wires over time. But anyhow, we're saving this over here for later. Right now, we're just concerned with this. We're looking at the amp probe reflecting the current through the circuit, driving all 6 injectors in turns, you know, sequentially. Now, I'm power braking a vehicle. Now, look at this. We've got a good amp ramp for one injector and another one, and this one kind of double fires, okay? It's not 2 firing at once, because if that was the case, we'd have double the amperage, right?
That's a Scooby-Doo rut-row.
Yeah, ruh-roh. And then over here, there's a total dropout. So we definitely got something going on here. So I can look at this from a couple different perspectives. One, I could say the PCM's goofing up probably. The driver isn't pulling this injector to ground fully, or it's pulling it twice. There's something wrong with the logic in the PCM. But we got to remember the PCM is nothing more than a computer. And it's going to do what it's programmed to do.
IPOs, inputs, programming outputs.
Exactly. So if the PCM gets bad in, what's it going to do?
Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. So my next test is be to look at camshaft position sensor circuit and the crankshaft position sensor circuit. The signal's going into the PCM where it makes its decisions. So in this next capture here, you got to remember, I'm utilizing an 8-trace lab scope here. I'm gathering a bunch of stuff at once. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got a ground over here, and here's 5 going right now. I can turn these on and off at will here. You know, I only got one channel live here, so you guys can see it. So got to remember, I'm doing this for presentation purposes. So here, I'm only looking at the camshaft position sensor. And what do you guys see that's weird with this green trace?
I see low-hanging fruit.
I love fruit.
Yeah, your weird little, yeah,
So
exactly where your cursor just was.
So what we got here is this is supposed to be a nice square wave, 0 to about 6 volts, and I'm not 100% sure what it should be for this car. I'm not that good, but it's a nice square wave, and then I got like this noise going on here, and there's my dropout, okay, and excuse me, this goofy mistriggering, I'll call it mistriggering, and over here there's like a injector pulse with just amp ramp just totally disappeared. So now I feel like I'm onto something. So I came over here to my wiring diagram because I wanted to see, you know, if the camshaft position sensor right over here, can you guys see that? Can you see me move my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. The camshaft position sensor was this green trace right here. Okay. That was the.
And that's where we're going to end the video and make everybody wait for a while longer. No, we're not.
Do what?
To be continued.
I figured we could leave them hanging for until the next live.
Tune in next time to find out what happened.
Right.
You guys want me to quit?
No.
You sure? Okay.
Only best.
We just want to tease our viewers.
Oh, okay. So what I'm seeing here is my green trace is dropping out, and come over here, the wiring diagram. Remember, the green trace is the signal. Where am I at here? This one right here. That's my CMP signal. This brown wire, brown and white wire.
Mhm.
That's my signal. Now this is a 3-wire Hall effect sensor. So what do we need to make this sensor work?
Power and ground.
And wizardry.
Yeah, wizardry. Come on, help me out.
Dark magic.
We need a good reference voltage, a good reference ground. Of course, we need the trigger wheel to pass in front of the sensor and break the magnetic field. So from what I can monitor with my lab scope, I've only seen the signal break up. That's the output. Just like with a PCM, garbage in, garbage out, I got to make sure this camshaft position sensor is getting everything it needs. But I also want to point something else out here. This voltage feed at splice 136 comes into play. It also feeds my crankshaft position sensor. So what I don't show you over here in this green trace is I've turned it off. I've got the crankshaft position sensor sitting over here too. And I'm going to show you that in the next trace. So if you look closely, the way this scope produces its signals on the screen is this measure and deep record screen spans all the inputs on one screen, and unlike something like Pico, where you can stagger the traces individually, automotive test. I'm sorry.
Zero's all. There's only one zero.
Right. There's 1 0 mark, but through this button here, that's called process data button. If I were to click on that, now this is only a picture. Maybe I'll pull up a live scope feed later. If I click on this, I have the option to add or subtract voltage to any one of these traces or clean them up. So that'll offset them if I wanted them to display like you guys typically see Pico captures. But in this case here, I don't need to see it. Matter of fact, Chris, you pointed this out the other day. The fact that they're overlaid here makes it easier to see this dropout because both the camshaft position sensor in red, if you guys can see here if you look closely, and the crankshaft position sensor in yellow both exhibit the same dropout simultaneously. And here, this blue trace, this is my crank sensor and cam sensor feed, that ignition voltage on terminal N here that feeds that.
Off the white and black wire.
Off the white and black wire here. White and black wire here. Yep, exactly. It's feeding both these sensors. It's dropping out. That's what you see here displayed here in blue. So then you got to step back here and you got to keep asking yourself why. You got to keep asking why multiple times to get to the root cause of the problem. Because it's easy for somebody to go, oh, if this voltage is dropping out, maybe I got a bad ignition control module. That might be true, but it might not. So now we got to determine, do I have a bad ignition module creating a poor reference voltage output? Do I have a circuit here that's intermittently shorting to ground, like a resistive short to ground? Do I have a bad camshaft or crankshaft position sensor that's breaking up and pulling this signal low? Or you see this pink wire here coming off terminal P? I don't have it drawn here, but if you follow this all the way up, this goes up to an ignition feed from like the ignition switch. So certainly if this input was skewed, bad in, bad out, right?
Yep.
Well, that's what we're seeing here in green. Green is coming from the ignition switch. You're seeing the voltage drop as reflected from the coils ramping up. That's totally normal. You should anticipate seeing that because the coils are ramped up from the coils are fed from the same input. But we're not seeing a dropout. That's the significance of this trace. And those of you guys that are new to lab scopes, the lab scope's your friend. The more traces you have, it's like John Anello said this once, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like fishing with a net instead of a hook, right? Instead of grabbing out one thing and going, oh, this sensor signal's bad, and then going back and testing the input, and then the feed the sensor, and then going back and testing the input to the ignition control module, we can do it all at once here because we have a multi-trace lab scope. So this is dropping out. Because that's dropping out, that feeds both our cam and crank sensor. We're seeing it drop there, and it's not dropping out coming from the ignition switch right here. So that tells us the problem is either in the box here or external this way, but it's not this way. So we're making that, we're driving down the funnel, you know, smaller and smaller. We're getting closer to our fault. So now I got to try and determine, do I have a bad box? Do I got a bad crank sensor or cam sensor? Or do I have a resistive short to ground on the circuit in between the sensors and the ignition control module? So in your guys' mind, how can we go about proving that easily without getting too dirty? You guys got any ideas?
I think you got a couple ideas.
I do. I do.
I haven't watched this yet, but I think me and you talked about this, Brandon, on doing some networking tests like that.
Likely.
I don't want to give it away. How about we pause for a minute and see if anyone in the audience can come up with an idea how we could figure out.
Oh, that's an idea. And you know what? You guys still didn't tell me how to go ahead and view this stuff on YouTube, because I'm still trying to find out how to see responses.
Don't touch anything, because we don't want to lose the feed.
No, I won't touch it.
His feed is on his laptop, and he's using his phone to look at YouTube. So how's he?
David Wagner says current.
Ooh.
David Wagner's a smart guy. He's a smat guy.
A smat guy?
He's a smat guy.
You're gonna go down to your car and get some hot dogs?
That was the worst accent ever, Keith. Don't ever do accents ever again.
I know. That's how my 4-year-old talks. He's like, "Can we go into the car?" I'm like, "The car?"
Is your kid from Boston?
I know. That's what she sounds like. I'm telling you.
Every time I hear that accent, it reminds me. Excuse me, 1 second. Reminds me of my good buddy Dave DeCourcy. God rest his soul. Oh, yeah. I want to interrupt real quick while we give people a chance to chime in. Other than Dave ruining it for everybody here, Dave Wagner. Thanks a lot, buddy.
You got one that says,
Dusty,
I'm just kidding.
Dusty Mills says to unplug the cam sensor because it will run without one.
You know something, and you said that was Dustin?
Dusty Mills.
Dusty, thank you for replying, Dusty. And you know something, that's not a bad idea, because it's a process of elimination. What I'm trying to do, Dusty, is I'm trying to show some techniques that we can use as diagnosticians to help streamline our process and be able to make that same process of elimination, but without having to get dirty and doing less work than we have to. And I'm going to show you how to do that utilizing some really cool tools.
Yeah, we don't want to disturb that connection if that's the problem. And what if in the future this cam sensor isn't available to get to physically very easily, like a Nissan or something? Wouldn't we want some kind of test plan to test this without doing that?
Exactly.
That's an excellent point.
Good point.
But what we're saying, Dusty, is you're not wrong. Process of elimination is what I'm after. I'm just going to try and go about it a little better, a little bit different, trying more streamlined approach. But I just want to say, Dave DeCourcy, man, I miss him dearly. G Trulia was hosting a TST seminar, the big event. God, it was a few years ago. It was probably like 2013. And Dave comes walking in, and Dave's a little guy too, but he's a big guy, but he's a little guy. You know, he's got a tremendous heart and this huge outgoing personality. So he comes walking in from the back of the classroom, and he makes some comment. I can't remember what he said, but it was one of those comments where you'd expect this huge round of applause, and you didn't hear anything. And then he turns around, he's like, "Oh, you guys was pattying too hard, wasn't you, last night?" That was awesome.
There's a guy, Tool Hut USA, wants to know if there is anything else on that circuit that you have highlighted in orange.
What's his name?
Sam, probably.
Tool Hut USA.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, Tool Hut USA, but excellent point, and there likely is. But I never had to cross that bridge, because I'm going to show you why here in a second. So I got a really cool tool here recently, and it's this micro amp probe, and who's this? AMC makes this one. It's called a K110. Now, these things are not cheap. Money-wise, they're fairly expensive. I bought this one used on eBay, I think, for like, I think I paid just under $300 for it. And it's not something you're going to use every day. Not at all.
You got to learn to use the make offer. You got to use the make offer tab when those things come up on eBay.
Yeah.
Got to teach you all how to bargain.
I wish I had time for that stuff.
That unit sells for I think it's like almost $700.
New, yeah.
Looks like a custom lead you got there too.
And you know something? Thanks for pointing that out, Brian. I was just going to bring it up. You guys see this right here? My eScope Pro from ATS utilizes BNC connectors, and these are banana connectors down here. So I contacted my good buddies, George and Carlos, and the rest of the team at AES Wave, and told them my dilemma. And I'm not kidding you. Days later, this was in my mailbox at home. Custom leads. They made them as long as I want them. They said, "What do you want?" I took a picture of my probe. Oops. I took a picture of my probe. I took a picture of my leads, and I said, "Make these X number of feet long." And they did. These guys do a phenomenal job. They are a tremendous asset to the industry. They like, I can't even describe what they do for us. I mean, they buy tools cheap. They sell them to us cheap. The support from the staff is second to none. They're outgoing. You can talk to them. You can network with them. They're great guys. Go up and shake their hand at the next event. Go say hi, introduce yourselves. So they're great guys to know. All of them, the whole team. Even George and Carlos have their mom working with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
It's a great company. Can't say enough about them. They're just amazing.
Absolutely not. They're phenomenal. So I got my micro amp probe, and for those of you who have used amp probes before, it works just like another amp probe. You know, we're going to convert the amperage passing through this loop here. These jaws are going to open up like a shark and surround a wire that we're sampling from, and it's basically measuring magnetism. But magnetism is proportional to current flow. So this box is going to output a voltage to my scope that's proportional to the current flowing through these jaws here. So in essence, I'm going to see the amount of current thrown through a wire with this probe here. And my thought process is this. I want to go backwards here a second. So if I put my amp probe, oops, actually I want to go this way. So if I put my amp probe right here, and I know this is not the same amp probe, but this is the picture I had stored in my file, so that's what I'm going to use.
Points taken off for using the wrong amp probe, just saying.
Hey, but I got to get my brownie points back. What did you say about this yesterday, Chris, when I showed you that?
It is. You did make the wire go through the hole. That is kind of awesome.
Outstanding.
Impressive.
You like that? You like that? See, I took my time.
So we're even. We're even.
So we're even now. So I got my amp probe wrapped around this wire here, and my thought process is, I'm going to use this amp probe as a strategy to determine if I got a fault internal to this box or external to the box. So in your guys' mind, if I have a short to ground in either the wire here, an intermittent, like a resistive short to ground, or perhaps I have a cam sensor or a crank sensor that's internally damaged and it's latching onto this reference voltage and pulling it low. That's what I'm going to try to determine. So what do you think is going to happen to current flow if when this signal does this, okay? What do you think is going to happen to current flow if this wire is intermittently shortened to ground or a sensor is breaking up and pulling the wire down?
Why don't we leave it to the peanut gallery?
It's a good idea. You got to specify though. Which one?
Not me, because I suck.
I'm gonna guess and say that it should go up because as you ground it, you've shortened your path. Anytime you shorten your path, the ground current typically goes up.
Okay, so Tanner, just to recap here, what you're saying is if for some reason either this cam sensor or this crank sensor, something internal was going on and latching onto this reference voltage and pulling it towards ground, or this wire was rubbed through somewhere, touching ground, the output from this would increase current flow, right? Because it wouldn't be going through a resistance. And that's my thought process on this. So if the fault was internal to this box, what should happen to current?
If it was internal so that it was being grounded prior to that.
Like a bad driver, like the driver wasn't outputting the full.
Yeah, like a voltage drop, not putting enough voltage out of it. So then at that point, I would say current would drop.
And that's my thought. So here's what I did. We're looking at just the cam sensor here. You know, I got all my signals turned off here. Just the cam sensor. Now look, if you look closely here, if I had my live scope screen up, I could zoom in on this to enhance this to make this stand out. But we're seeing every time the signal gets pulled low, current goes up. So what does that tell you?
Stuff happened.
Stuff happened, right? So I got a choice here. So that proves the fault's not in this box, right?
Yep. Right.
And who was it, Dusty, that commented earlier?
Yes.
Dusty, this is my point here. I'm still not dirty. I'm still not dirty. I'm right over here.
I'm always dirty.
Hey, quick side question before you go any further. How
Please.
high is the amperage on that?
You mean how high is the probe rated for? You mean, or what am I set to right now?
Yeah. What did you have for amperage on that wire? I'm just curious.
You know, I had it written down. Hold on. I'm going to go look at I want to point something out here to Dusty, though. What you suggested earlier, Dusty, was if I eliminate that, I believe you said the cam sensor, I may have possibly gotten rid of my problem. I may not have. In this case, I'll tell you I would not have, and you'll see here in a minute. But the point is, right now I don't want to touch anything because I'm scared of accidentally fixing this car. Now, I don't want you guys to think, this is easy stuff. Like this takes me 10 minutes every time I do it. At this point, I probably got about 2 hours in this car at this point right here.
What, you mean you're not Superman? You did not know exactly what was wrong with the car?
No, believe it. I know it seems that way, right, Chris?
Joe's Auto had a question. He said, what would you have done without the implant?
It would have to be a process of elimination because otherwise it's just a guess. So I would definitely start off with a visual inspection.
Okay.
Because in my mind, now this stuff doesn't come like that. It's not logical. You have to start working on problems like this before things start making sense. So I've seen signals get shorted to ground and been bit before by it. So I don't want you to think I just, woke up one day and figured out how to do this stuff. I mean, this is years and years of getting beat up and trying to find better ways and spending my free time experimenting, like staying late after work and goofing around. I mean, I distinctly remember scoping cam and crank signals and playing games with where my scope was referenced to ground. What if I put some corrosion in there and how it would change my signals? I would spend time doing stuff like that. And that's how you learn. You learn on known good cars or you learn on known situations. So who just asked that question, Brian, please? I forgot the name.
Joe's Auto Electric.
So Joe, what I would do typically is on this car here, for instance, I would find a problem the way I know how to and the way you guys know how to. I'm not telling you to change what you do. Do what you always do, but go back and add another test, add a new technique and see if the results of this new technique jive with what you already know. And if it doesn't, no big deal. You need to go back and practice and see what went wrong and why it went wrong. But if it does correlate, you might find yourself doing an easier test. And that's exactly what I did here. I started messing around with this stuff in my free time. And once I realized, holy crap, I can see stuff. Now I start kind of taking off the training wheels, so to speak. So again, I'm right under the hood here and there's nothing to this. I'm not dirty yet. I didn't even pick the car up yet.
Brandon, to answer somebody else's question, there's two models of that one. The K110 goes up to 450 milliamps.
Okay.
And the K100 goes up to 4.5 amps.
Wow.
That's why I was asking about the amperage that you were at.
Okay, well, I want to ask this real quick because I know I'm going to forget with my pea brain. The one that goes up to 4.5 amps, what's the resolution like? Like if I were to sample something as minuscule as this, right, would that K100 deliver me the resolution I need to see?
I'm going to say yes, only because I have it.
From 100 microamp. Low level DC from 100 microamp.
Yeah. At some point, we should test the two of them side by side and see.
Well, it's even a smaller resolution.
Than the
no, it's the same.
Oh wow!
100 microamp.
Well, Tanner, I was going to suggest I'll just mail this out to you, but I think it would be more fun if we got together and did it, like a live thing.
I agree.
All right.
Just so you guys are getting a whole behind the scenes kind of thing. This is what goes on all night long.
Every day.
Yeah. We're in the middle of something and got totally sidetracked.
Oh, and quick for the record, I used the make offer tab when I bought mine, so I bought mine for like $175 instead of the $500 they were asking.
Oh, oops. Well, I had a quiche burn and I couldn't sit there and wash.
Rub it in.
All right. So what'd you find?
So moving forward, I found that my current did indeed increase as the fault was exhibited. They correlate. So that tells me the fault is not internal to that ignition control module. It is, in fact, either a short to ground, a resistive short to ground on the circuitry between the module and the sensors, or one of the sensors. So at this point, I had every intention of isolating the circuits one at a time. You know, I'm testing here. Now I want to test here, and I want to test here. You know, but that requires me separating the harness and moving stuff around. So I figure at this point, it was prudent to do a good visual inspection. So I did that. I looked under the hood. You know, I'm already here. I'm already here. Good bless. There it is. Where's it at? I'm already here. And I got this cover off, and I could see pretty much, you know, the cam sensor's right about here, and I could see the harness going across the top of the motor. So I'm not really concerned at that time. So now it's time to put it up in the air, get a good look at the crank sensor. Check this out. Check this out. Hold on a second. There it is. So here's my balancer. Now this harness is supposed to be secured to the front cover. Now I pulled this out to show you guys this, but I didn't see this at first. This was still inside conduit, okay? And I saw it flapping around here. So I'm thinking to myself, no way. So I pulled the conduit back and I saw the loose tape, and I was like, oh. So I pulled the tape back, and look at that. That is my reference voltage wire that feeds both my cam and my crank sensor. So it was a resistive short to ground causing it. So Joe, do you see what could have happened? I think it was Joe that asked this question. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I got a small brain. But
Dusty.
Who was it? Dusty. Dusty,
Yeah.
thank you. So Dusty, could you imagine if I didn't notice this was hanging loose and I unplugged the crank sensor or the cam sensor? This was the, I can't remember if it was the cam or crank. It was the crank sensor. Could you imagine if I unplugged this and accidentally moved this away, right? And then the fault didn't happen, so I plugged it back in, and now I can't reproduce the problem. Now I got 2.5 hours in this car, and not only is the car, it wasn't repaired by me, but it's not doing it anymore. So the customer's not going to want to pay, and I'm going to be a little disgruntled because I want to get paid for it. And I'm not trying to make it about money, but I'm trying to bring some logic to our approach here.
But it's also about money.
But it's also about money.
I mean, we're doing this to make a living.
Yeah, we are.
We are.
So if I if I were to move this harness and I didn't notice this, I would definitely have inadvertently repaired this vehicle. It would not act up. I would give this back to this customer, and it might not act up for months. It might not act up for a year.
So the corrosion worked its way up into the harness and
Right.
ruined a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
So Brandon,
I have a super short version of that. I had the same problem on a 2004 or 5 Dodge Stratus with the Mitsubishi engine, and it was the 5-volt reference that goes to the TPM throttle position, cam crank, and the high side pressure switch for the AC. The high side pressure switch, you see the harness coming off of it rubbed against the oil dipstick tube right underneath the intake manifold and was randomly killing the car.
Nice.
And every time I would touch the car, I would wiggle the harness, and it wouldn't act up for months, and it'd come back.
You know what's funny though? When we see this stuff, we can apply some logic to it, and it makes sense how you approach it. But do you know what this looks like to somebody who hasn't delved into this line of testing yet? It's not magic. It might look like it, but it's not. It's not crystal balls or nothing like that. It's just having an understanding of our tools' limitations and an understanding of electricity and applying, after practicing these techniques over and over again, applying it to the car. And again, not replacing what you already do. Do what you already do, because a lot of you guys have been fixing cars a heck of a lot longer than me. Do what you always do and add a new test to see if it correlates. So I got to thinking, I was running these, I ran this past these guys here before we went live, and I want to get everybody else's thoughts on this. So in my mind, you know, this was shorting out, and we saw the results of that, what it was doing, and we saw how it was reflected in the injector trace. But remember, this is a cam and crank sensor signal being affected. What else is the PCM? What other output is the PCM controlling based upon these inputs and how they correlate?
Spark.
So I thought to myself, well, if this is affecting the injectors, what's it doing to the ignition coils? So I did the same line of testing, but instead of testing for amperage across all 6 injectors, I was looking at all 3 in coils. Remember, this is a waste spark, so we got 3 coils. Mm-hmm. So in blue, again, I have all my channels turned off here. I'm sampling a lot more than what you see on a screen, but just for clarity, in blue is that reference voltage circuit, that one that was being pulled low because of that rubbed wire touching fine and ground. So here we got coils ramping up, and they're fairly evenly spaced, and the dwell looks to be about the same, right? Then all of a sudden we got this weird one here. It looks more like a rampant fire style, and then it goes back to normal for a moment, and then it kind of does one of these, and then look over here. The dwell was like 4 or 5 times as long as the other ones, so it's definitely affecting spark. Yeah, it started acting stupid, like us. So I had a thought then. I'm like, I wonder if the ping I was hearing earlier really wasn't due to a lean condition. Because remember, my oxygen sensors weren't reflecting the lean. Remember that? The O2 sensors both went above 900 millivolts. So I figured if it was maybe I had an issue with the spark. Uh-oh, it says my internet's unstable. Can you guys still hear me? Need me to chill out a minute?
You're good now.
I'm good? Okay. So I was thinking maybe we got an issue with spark. I thought to myself, maybe if the spark was firing too early, that it was inadvertently igniting the air-fuel mixture before the piston reached top dead center compression, and we had 2 flame fronts colliding. Excuse me, we had a flame front colliding with a piston moving forward. So I had an idea. This cursor, this scope has a really cool feature, just like Pico does. I can plot cursors here, and I can spread them out evenly per phase of, this is a 6-cylinder engine. So I click this button over here, and I drag my cursors, and I put one here, and I counted out 6 coil ramps, and I drop the other cursor there, and then I hit mark cylinders, and I set it over here for a 6-cylinder engine. So check this out. So all these are firing relatively close. If you can imagine, these cursors are evenly spaced, and they are. Each one of these coils is discharging relatively close to this cursor. Now, you're going to have some variances due to normal changes in ignition timing. But look at this one here. I'm sorry?
And engine speed, correct?
Engine speed and load, that stuff has an effect on ignition timing. But I do want to point this out. This is a 6-cylinder engine.
Mm-hmm.
Every cylinder fires, there is one cylinder firing every 120 degrees. So if this is 120, half of that is 60. Now, if this coil, I know it's a very small ramp, but if this ramp was enough to generate enough magnetism in the coil that during discharge, it actually created enough spark to ignite the air-fuel mixture, we could, in fact, have a ping here because it's 60 degrees early. Is that plausible?
Sure.
Absolutely.
I kind of, hindsight's always 20/20, and I kind of wish now, Chris, you made an excellent point. If I was smart enough to go back and do this again and capture that ignition event where it was ramping up like that, along with these coil events, and be able to plot cursors, I might be able to prove it out.
The fuel injector and versus the coil?
Yeah, remember when we had the ignition, the video up in the beginning?
Yeah.
If I could correlate that rising ramp with the injector amperage and this coil amperage here displaying as 60 degrees early, I'll call it 60. This is 120, half of that 60.
So turned your injector into a flamethrower?
Mm-hmm.
I guess. So, and you know, injectors, I do want to point this out, especially for those who are using injector pulses as sync pulses. You got to be very careful.
Yeah.
Because we can fire an injector. I've witnessed injectors fire anywhere from top dead center of the exhaust stroke, which is, we'll call the 360 mark, all the way backwards to just as the intake valve closed on the compression stroke. So that's like 360 degree difference.
Yeah, and you can see that on the same engine depending upon its running conditions.
Right, that's what I mean. You load it up, and all of a sudden this injector moves 360 degrees to the left. So you got to be very careful if you're using an injector as a sync pulse. I don't recommend it at all. But I would really, if I could go back and do that again, that would be some good data to have. I don't know if anybody else listening in can chime in on that and give me more insight on that, because I haven't experimented on this car with that.
Well, you're fired. You didn't do good enough. How dare you?
That makes sense, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to touch on something quick because
yeah, he does.
In the chat, nice. Always pick on the small guy. So Drew's Auto was saying about basically where he works, it sounds like he was saying that he would have a problem being able to take that amount of time to diagnose something. And I want you to know that that's something that all of us as diagnostic guys struggle with. I know that I've had this conversation with multiple people in working for a shop that does not go to training and does not want to learn how to do these things. If you're looking at a car for 45 minutes or an hour, they would have like, they don't see what you're doing as being productive unless you're doing busy work and bolting parts on a car. They feel like you're not doing anything, and that's something that all of us struggle with those shops. And I know that Jim Morton has spoke about, when he gave students to shops and they called and said, they're not doing anything. They're just standing there looking at a scan tool, or they're standing at a scope, and they would rather than bolt parts on the cars. I would urge you, the only way that I have found to try to get shops to understand it is to look at the amount of money they make at the end of the month comparative to when you weren't there, and also look at the difference in their returns from when you weren't there to when you are there.
Right.
That's something
That's
always a
that's a
subject.
whole conversation we can have for like a whole. That could go another couple hours back and forth, and just that.
Exactly. So
Right.
yeah,
And I think we have something really
so I
important.
don't want to go much further.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. I don't want to go any further with
Yeah.
that, but that's just something he had made a couple comments, and I just want you to know that, I mean, that's definitely something that all of us still struggle with. So.
Well, thank you. So that was awesome, Brandon.
Thank you very much. Let me back out of here.
So again, I mean, that in the real world, I mean, that wasn't 10 minutes worth of work. I mean, you got your butt kicked on that, but I mean, this is what happens.
It does.
Right?
You got to learn from it. You got to take when you can't make money, at least learn from it so you make money next time.
Yeah. So
Pass it forward.
Exactly. All right, so I guess we're done. Okay, see you. Good night, everybody. It was fun.
No.
All right, so off to the fun part, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got one more thing to do, which I'm sure most of you are probably here for.
It's the only thing they're here for.
Yes. Sorry about that.
We have our Picoscope raffle, and it's not just a Picoscope, but it is also this Pierce probe set. It is also this micro back probe set,
which is indispensable, by the way.
I think it's awesome.
And inside of the Picoscope, there is also a secondary pickup as well, which doesn't normally come with the starter kit.
No, there's not. I took it. Sorry, it's mine.
Yeah. I don't even have one, and I need to get one. So.
And I have ruined and replaced every one of those tools.
So
we did find out, apparently, you can use this U-scope as a test light for AC voltage.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Only one time.
Hey, I was testing the tool's limitations.
He tested the hell out of it. But Brian, would you want to just go over one more time about like what all the donations were and what all the raffles were for?
Right.
The raffles for they were donations, $25 donations, and we most of the proceeds we're going to be using for vision scholarships or other type of scholarships that we're going to use to help better the industry. And
yes, so thank all of you guys, because if it wasn't for you guys, we couldn't do what we do.
I personally, I thought we would make this raffle last longer than it did. It ended up being like 3 days. So we sold all 200 tickets fairly quickly, and we're ready to raffle it off. So without further ado, I will begin that right now. We have one stipulation. We are going to send, not only with the Pico, but with the pressure pulse sensor, we are going to send you a sticker, and we require you to take a selfie of your tool that you won
with your vinyl.
With your vinyl sticker on your favorite cart or something toolbox. Take a picture of yourself with it and show it on Facebook or something for us.
Or
But,
we will gladly commandeer the Pico back.
Without further ado, I will begin the raffle right now. Drum roll.
I'm kidding. That's as far as I can go.
Shake it again. Shake it again.
All right, fine.
Shake it like a salt shaker.
I'll go upside down.
I heard that song today.
Yeah.
Tommy, do the milkshake.
All right, here we go.
only if you give me the cookie.
And the winner.
Quit looking.
I'm
Quit
sorry.
looking.
I'm not looking. I'm not looking.
This is where you call my name again.
Dig deep.
There is Dan Nielsen.
All
Dan
right.
Nielsen.
Dan,
Congrats.
congratulations, Dan Nielsen.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Is that 2 E's?
Hey, Mike Robinson looks like he's just ahead.
You see that?
Put it on. Yeah. How do you make it on the bigger screen?
Hold on. I got it on the big screen. Just let it focus. Put it back up.
You're on the big screen there, Keith.
Well, Brian needs to talk.
Can you see that?
Don't you have to be present to win?
It's hard to. It's trying to focus on there, but it's all right.
All right. Well, I'll take a picture of it and put it on our Facebook page.
Dan Nielsen, just how would he needs to get a hold of us through the through our website, through to contact us, or?
Yeah, we'll contact him. I have his
Okay.
his address and stuff, but we'll contact him if he's not watching tonight, and we will send it out to him, including a sticker, of course.
Again, I know Chris
Is
said
he
it,
from
but
New York? Is
I
that
don't
the?
know.
All right.
What were you saying, Keith?
Oh, just asking if that was the guy from New York. There was one of them that came down there to the to Super Saturday.
Let me see. I can pull up his info.
And his credit card information, please.
Yeah, social and
Mother's maiden name, I think.
Chris, you've done this before?
I don't know what you're talking about. What were you saying, Brent?
You can hear me now.
Yeah,
Good. I saw your lips moving earlier, but
Just again, I know you already said it, but I really wanted to take the opportunity to thank everybody for this, because we're going to be able to share the vision experience.
at his age. That's going to set his path.
And
Yeah.
just to be clear, we have, it might be confusing. The tray Gravely is a separate deal altogether. We're going to be sending somebody else out a full package. They're not going to have any financial responsibility to this at all. And then, you know, I think we said in our last live stream, we have a couple other guys that we're not going to go into details yet, but we have a couple other guys that have stepped up. And most likely we're going to be able to send 2 people, probably full board, no financial burden whatsoever. So
awesome.
Pretty awesome stuff.
That's all thanks to you guys. Thank you for letting us help out people.
Dan Nielsen is in Denmark. So we have
wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Hey, we got to get Tarai to call in.
Yeah.
Our buddy out in Zimbabwe, Tarai Sawara.
So let's get this straight. Hold on. So the Pico came all the way from England to California.
Hey, wait
to New York. Hold on, wait, no. To New York, to Pennsylvania, to Ohio, to go all the way back to the UK again. Awesome.
It's a homecoming.
How's his last name spelled?
Nielsen.
Nielsen.
Tanner was thinking Neil like he always does.
Nielsen.
Sen. Edward. I'll put it in the chat. There.
Yes, Tanner?
Adrian says Denmark is not in the UK.
I didn't mean the UK. I just meant like way back.
Yeah. I was going to let that one go.
I told you that guy wasn't smart.
I meant across the pond or a pond or whatever, but all the way back almost to where it came from.
You ruined it.
I think so. But I think Tanner's trying to figure out if he knows this guy and like he had lunch with him.
I was trying to figure out if he was.
What'd you have? Finger sandwiches?
No, I was trying to remember where
Yeah,
Diagnostic Dan was.
And he didn't finish it.
I'm gonna
You
be
can't-
good.
you can't say it.
No, I was trying to remember where. Oh, he's from the Netherlands. I was trying to remember where Diagnostic Dan was from. If it was near.
Oh, yeah,
Holland.
he's diagnosed Dan from the Amsterdam area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Daniel Versluis.
Yeah.
That one.
Yes, him.
You guys think we
Dan,
can get?
looks like Dan works at an Audi dealership. So
Oh boy.
Audi.
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 Any Audi?
Howdy.
Audi. I
Auto
saw
Union.
Becker. I saw Becker's in there. It's Audi,
Audi.
not Audi.
Auto Union. Auto Union. So it's Audi.
I got an innie, so
Go there.
whatever.
I used to work with a
He's
guy
got
that
an
would
innie.
butcher words like that all the time. He used to call it the Utel Maxidas.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Oh jeez.
All right.
That was epic.
So,
So
hey
we-
guys, I'd like to, if I could, I'd like to say honestly to the crew of Trained by Techs, from someone on outside of the perspective, I have to give you a standing ovation. I've watched you guys grow over the time, and from what you guys originally started out at and the growth of it, I applaud you. And everything that you guys are doing in the industry is absolutely remarkable. So I'm just taking the moment just because, you know what, I feel like talking, and I just want to, you guys are awesome. And to send, these guys that don't have the opportunity to go to Vision, and I know the struggle of that because I'm trying, myself, trying to get in there. I missed last year. You guys are awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you from my household to yours.
Thanks, Mikey.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
We thank all of you guys for your support, and Jim Morton and Carlos and George from AES Wave, and just all it really is we've been fortunate enough to experience some of these things, and we really want to help others to experience them as well.
Absolutely.
Well, you
But
guys
thank you.
designed a platform, and you guys are running with it. So it's exciting to watch. So especially from the sidelines, just sitting there and, we could, there's a lot of thank yous that can go out there, but I think a special thanks needs to go out to you guys, honestly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Means a lot, Mike.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Oh.
All right. Did we have anything else on the schedule?
I don't believe so.
We covered all topics.
Yep. Covered everything.
Keith,
Unbelievably.
Yeah, Keith, did you want to talk some more?
I completely can, but
Drew asked if there was the pulse sensor going with the Pico. No, there are 3 pulse sensors that we drew earlier, and they will be going to Lance Carter, Juan Vargas, and Robert Pleasanton. Those were the winners of the pressure pulse sensors.
also Bruce Oliver's got a question about how can we nominate someone to be considered for the Vision Scholarship.
I think as a group, I'm not sure that we've agreed upon that yet. So I think their next live stream will make that, because we're going to want to pick somebody pretty quick so that when registration comes out, they can get early choices in classes and stuff.
Yes.
Start making their plans.
Registration's in November, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
another
soon.
November 1st it opens about
Okay.
another week.
Soon. If not on a live stream, we'll decide as a group, and we'll make sure that we post it on Diagnostic Network, Facebook groups, wherever. Make sure you guys know how we're going to move forward.
Dusty asked if he could buy Mike's pressure sensor. I would tell him to contact Mike.
Yeah, find Mike on Facebook. He's an awesome dude, and he, like I said, he knows his stuff. So even if you do manage to get a hold of one, and you need help setting it up, or just you want to help to interpreting what you're seeing, he's a real knowledgeable dude. And
how do we search for you, Mike, on
We've
Facebook?
tagged him a bunch in one of our Trained by Tech stuff.
Just Google Mike, see what comes up.
Yeah,
No, you'll end up getting some guy that's been in school for 55 years. So
it's Michael Nicholson.
yeah.
And
Look for him on Facebook. Look for the beard.
Can you spell that, Mike?
Yeah, Nichholson. Same as Jack Nicholson, but no relation.
That's too bad.
So a lot of times, if you don't mind, a lot of times these guys ask me all these questions about where they can find the training. Can we pull that up on our webpage so that way they can see it? Somebody put that up on their screen.
We can't see you.
Okay, yes. Somebody share the screen. Pull the website up.
Got it. Hang on.
Make sure to pull the right screen up.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't pull the wrong one.
So Brian's going to pull up on our website. We have an events tab that we are dedicated to making sure we put all of the big events and sometimes even some of the smaller ones on there, even the hands-on, one-day hands-on stuff. Beyond this, what we can say is we might add this as well, but there's a lot of standalone classes as well. We're all about training. Events are a big deal for me because it's getting a chance to it's just different. Getting a chance to be around a lot of like-minded professionals is just pretty cool. But training is priority. So even if you can't afford to attend one of these things, be sure to look at some of the stuff that comes in your area if you have something in your area. CTI, just Google CarQuest Technical Institute.
That's on here as well.
He's on there. ATG does a lot of traveling. They have guys that travel all over the country, guys and gals potentially, but WorldPack as well. Standard Motor Parts. They brand that as what are some of the brands the standard classes go under?
SMP.
BWD, Standard, O'Reilly's does them. I think those are would be the most common ones that you'll see out there for standard.
In the Midwest area, Automotive Seminars is huge. Drivability Guys is huge, which are on there as well. But I'm a big time advocate for daytime training, which is kind of hard to come by. Right there, AVI on Demand. Look those guys up. They have really affordable packages and standalone DVDs stuff as well, which you can take advantage of during the day. Automotive Seminars has started to produce some videos as well. So you look at that up. I think AES Wave sells them as well as Automotive Seminars. Bosch does some training as well. Keith, just Google Bosch automotive training, or what do you? Keith DeFazio.
Yeah. You would you can Google in, but we have a link to it there, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, we should have a link that actually brings you right over to their seminars. I think that's the one I sent in last time.
And if you guys ever have any suggestions about any kind of training events or anything that you'd like to hear from us,
Yes.
You can contact us right on the website. Just understand we're a bunch of guys that kind of do well. When I say we're doing this, it's basically Brian doing this all night, setting up this website.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Doing
Absolutely. I would be lost without Brian. I am lost even with Brian.
We don't want to skip our.
Do you want me to call your parents for
What if I'm lost?
Then we're in big trouble.
Well, we don't want to skip our shout out to Diagnostic Network because some really good conversations going there, putting us in touch with some really, really fantastic resources. So
top tier conversations, absolutely.
I'm amazed at how small this circle really is. I mean, you see these people all over the country. It's like week after week, a couple of times in a few months, and it's just like friends up at the bar, elbow to elbow, just having a conversation. But I love that we can be in these intimate conversations with these guys, and they were like my baseball heroes, kind of, sort of. You know what I mean? And be able to talk to them and have conversations with them. I mean, that's just fun. I guess part of networking, reaching out and meeting people and learning from them.
And speaking of Diagnostic Network, look forward to Mike's post on his car that he's going to put up. It's actually pretty awesome, focusing on his pressure transducers, including his pressure pulse sensor that he's using. It's actually it should be there shortly. He's working on it now. I've seen a preview. It's gonna be pretty awesome.
yeah.
All right. Well, this has been successful. Thank you guys for hanging out with us.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much again.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for letting me hang out for a while. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for the case study. It was awesome, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
That's a good time. All right, gentlemen. I'll see everybody next time, all right?
Good night,
Have a
guys.
great night. Guys, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
I'll go ahead and close it out.
All right.
Have a
Peace
great
out.
night.
Good night.